you're on the bullet train.
Oh my gosh. What you just described gave me anxiety just hearing you say it. It sounds awful.
It's fine because they have a Western sit toilet right across from it.
Toilets at the speed of sound.
Wait, what is it? The contents don't just fly underneath the train, do they?
No, they get burned to power
No.
the train. Yeah.
Oh, really? Shut up.
No,
No.
no. They run on electricity.
I wanted to believe.
Roger, you have control, right?
Do I have control? Let us see.
Let us see, because we need to start the show now.
Yes. All right.
All right, here we go. Enough talk about toilets and trains. It's time for Daily Tech News Show. Daily Tech News Show is powered by its audience, not outside organizations. To find out more, head to dailytechnewsshow.com/support. This is the Daily Tech News for Wednesday, August 10th, 2016. I'm Tom Merritt. Joining me today, Mr. Scott Johnson is with us from The Instance. I'm just going to say that today.
Me as well. We got there's big stuff happening in World of Warcraft. People should be listening to that show. I'm super thrilled to be here. I think I'm getting a little bit of a summer cold, and I know what the cure is. Time with Tom, I like to call it.
More cowbell. Time with Tom. Yeah, no, we're going to talk about Google had an interesting blog post about trolling in virtual reality. That's going to give us a chance to talk about something in the news and kind of roam and speculate about the idea of trolling. We'll be giving you all the 5 hottest tips for trolling in VR on today's show. That will be our clickbait headline. That's not actually what we're going to do. U.S. Federal Appeals Court said Wednesday that the FCC cannot block state laws in North Carolina and Tennessee that limit municipal broadband networks, and Seagate, my hero, is demonstrating a 60 terabyte solid-state drive. Enough for you, Scott?
No, but here's what you need to tell me. The Seagate is now a drive I can count on all the time because it used to not be the case.
Yeah, there is that. 60 terabyte solid-state drive that will be available to data centers starting in 2017, not to you and me. Now, some more top stories. I feel some sort of odd pride when I see Mark Gurman showing up on Bloomberg, having followed him through his blogging days, and now he's big time on the Bloomberg network. Mark Gurman on Bloomberg again, reporting that Apple will announce new iPhones September 7th. Now, if you follow Gurman like we have, you know that he has really good sources. He doesn't say rumors unless he's got a very high confidence they're going to end up being true, which means mostly they are. So, September 7th, Scott, while I'm out on vacation, you'll be handling an Apple announcement, it looks like. Apple has not yet made any official announcement, so it could change. Gurman says his sources say Apple will not announce new laptops at the event. It'll just be for phones. Anyway, it'll be for phones, maybe for some other things, but not laptops. Previous rumors have suggested that Gurman's sources are right in saying that new MacBook Pros will be coming out later in the year. They'll be thinner, not have a tapered design, have upgraded GPUs, an optional AMD Polaris chip, and have an OLED touchscreen row of function keys, which would change contextually based on the application. So the big bullet points here, Scott, is looks like a September 7th announcement for new iPhones. Looks like we won't get laptops until later in the year, but when they come, they're apparently going to have that OLED strip.
So here we are in day 400 and something since a proper refresh of the line.
Totally, yeah.
A long time, man. So whatever they're doing, I hope it's special. It does feel like one of those years where they could, maybe push things forward in a way on notebooks that we haven't seen in a while, or at least their version of pushing things forward. But that's a long time to wait. But yeah, sounds right on the phones. I can't imagine that that's too crazy. It's about the same time we get this every year. So if you're gone, well, you will be gone. If that happens while you're gone and it's on my day, I can promise you this. Pretty good coverage that day. It'll be all right.
It's going to be good. It's going to be great. Also, you're getting something else on September 7th.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's from Sony. A nice package from Sony, wrapped up in a nice little bow. They sent out invitations. This is not a rumor. This is a real deal. For September 7th event, this is at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. They are calling this the PlayStation Meeting. They're promising to share details about the PlayStation business. It is highly expected, almost a shoo-in, that they will unveil the PlayStation 4 Neo, or whatever it will ultimately be called, a mid-cycle refresh of the console that's been talked about on this show many times. That will include, we hope, new hardware and performance upgrades. Don't know to what degree yet. We already sort of know what the Xbox is doing with the S line that just came out, so all ears are on Sony for this. A Sony representative told Polygon that the event will be live streamed with more details to come in the weeks ahead. I am genuinely excited to hear what this is, but I'm not feeling horribly motivated to rush out and get it quite yet. They really need to bowl me over on the 7th for me to care too much about upgrading.
Yeah, I mean, they told us that it's going to be VR capable when they dropped a weird announcement about it in an interview the Friday before E3, if you recall. So it's so hard to keep rumor from actual announcements straight these days. September 7th iPhones, rumor. As even if it's a solid rumor from Mark Gurman, still a rumor. Apple has not said anything. So that is something that we have to put in the rumor category. PlayStation Neo, fact. They actually said, yes, the Neo will be coming out this year. Like, people forget that that's no longer a rumor. They actually said something about it because then it got all washed away in the E3 news after that. So, yeah, I mean, the fact that they haven't said they will announce a PlayStation is kind of irrelevant because they told us the Neo is coming. This is a PlayStation meeting. They're going to talk about the PlayStation business. It could be kind of ridiculous if they didn't announce the Neo, right?
I have a theory, and I'm not a betting man, but if I were, I don't think it's going to be called Neo. And the reason I think that is probably in too much depth to discuss here, but I'll bet you anything it's something else.
Something
too
on the nose to say PlayStation 4K.
Something dumb like that, yeah. Probably. Neo is just too code word.
Neo's a code word, yeah. No, I agree with you on that.
Yeah, so we'll see.
I mean, it could make sense for them to say PlayStation 4 Neo. In other words, to say like, this is just a new PlayStation 4. It's not. We're not getting rid of the PlayStation 4. They're going to have to fight that same battle that Microsoft did. Will they announce a PlayStation 4K video capable PlayStation 4 and then another one that will play video games down the road like Microsoft does? No, I don't think so. I think this one might actually play 4K games.
So come back on the 7th for the biggest day of coverage ever while Tom is on a holiday.
Yes, exactly. Sorry about that. Meanwhile, don't use Flash. On the Chrome blog on Tuesday, Anthony LaForge, I would like to refer to him as Engineer LaForge. I don't know if that's actually his name, but I'm sure he gets that a lot. I'm sorry, Anthony LaForge. Anthony LaForge announced plans to de-emphasize Flash content, starting with the September release of Chrome 53. Chrome will specifically block Flash content in favor of HTML5. And then Chrome 55, which is launching in December, will make HTML5 the default experience, with Flash-only sites requiring users to enable content upon an initial visit to a page. These are all very much shades of what already happens. Right now, if you get Flash, you have to click to play the Flash. So this is just changing it slowly to say we really are discouraging people, but we're not going to disable it entirely. The blog post expects that you will get improved battery performance and overall reliability after the change in Chrome.
Yeah, I like this. I think it's a smart thing for them to do. I do a thing with Flash blocking with a plugin that specifically blocks any kind of Flash content from running, and it puts a little icon on the screen where the Flash content is and asks me if I want to turn it on or off individually. So with videos or Twitch streams or whatever it may be, I get to make that choice. But what I like about it more than not auto-running ads or other things I may not want to see or hear while in the middle of a show or something, I like that this blocker allows me to see how much Flash is getting used these days. Like,
yeah, right? It's kind of stunning, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's surprising. So once in a while you hit a page and be like, oh my gosh, there's like 12 icons here on a page. I would have never guessed any of this was Flash. And sure enough, it is. Also, I thought Twitch was streaming everything in HTML5 now. I was wrong about that. It's still asked for Flash Player.
I mean, I think what it is that they'll ask for the Flash Player first, and what this change will be is if there's an HTML5 version of Twitch, it will just play that one. It won't give you the option to click to play Flash anymore.
True.
And that's kind of the shade of difference here. If you're like, well, wait, I thought you had to click to play Flash anyway. Yeah, but if there's an HTML5, it's up to the website and the browser together. If the website serves Flash first, even now, Chrome will still give you that Flash thing. If the website does have HTML5 available and serves Flash first after Chrome 53, you'll just get the HTML5 version.
Yeah, good point. Also, side note, now that we're in the Chrome 50 range, they all sound like fancy clubs in the 70s in New York.
Yeah.
I'm to Chrome 53.
Oh, man. Did you read the stories about what used to happen at Chrome 55?
Oh, it was crazy, right?
They would just block Flash. Like, Flash wasn't allowed in.
They weren't allowing flashers anymore?
No, exactly. Totally different time.
Well, great. GoPro is starting to ship something I think is super cool. We talked about this a bit on TMS this morning. It's a $5,000 6-camera Omni VR rig. They are literally calling it the GoPro Omni. This happens in August on the 17th. That's this month, so pretty soon. If you already have the 6 Hero 4 Blacks, which is the cameras you've got to use in this thing, you can get the frame for $1,500. But if you want the whole setup, you're out the $5K. There's no software license either with that lower cost. And the license is the key. The Omni Importer tool takes all the video files off of your 6 SD cards and syncs it with no extra work for you. You don't have to go manually stitch this stuff and stitches it for you. You can trim, make edits, export to YouTube, Facebook formats in 2, 4, and even 8K, which is crazy. The Auto Pano video offers more detailed stitching and optimization. They also say there are plugins for Premiere and After Effects, which I think is very important and key. However, it cannot do 3D. So that's important. For all that, you just need $15,000 and a 16-camera Odyssey, which came out in partnership with Google's Jump software back in May. You may remember that from an earlier I.O. Yeah, this thing's pretty rad. We talked about it a bunch, looked at some sample video as a entry-level way of getting 360 action video. It seems pretty promising, and I think that price is pretty good. This isn't, this isn't for me to go out and buy because I'm not surfing or have some reason why I need this many GoPros filming 360 video, but I can see a lot of uses for this, that are in this sort of prosumer level market, and it looks cool. I think it looks nice.
Yeah, it's a good way to get something for a business is an affordable price. Nokia's version of this is in the tens of thousands. I think it's like $65,000. And of course, the Odyssey is much cheaper. 16 cameras can do 3D. That's a serious thing as well, and a cheaper version of what Nokia does for Hollywood studios, but something you could use as a professional. That's $15,000. This $5,000 one is sort of the idea of using a DSLR to shoot your video instead of getting a higher end camera. It's a way for you to do some 360 degree. You can't do 3D, but you can do some 360 degree video. And if you're just making a marketing video for your site or wanting to do some cool experiments with it, and you've got a little funding, you could drop this. This still is not the consumer version that all of us can go pick up and use.
It also, bonus, looks like Luke's Jedi training ball. Throwing that out there.
No, it's a square though. His thing was a sphere.
A little bit, but if you stand back and
I'm sorry, Scott. If you recall, the training ball was a sphere, very clearly a sphere.
Okay,
yeah. Is it because it's got the cameras on all sides?
I think so. Something about it reminds me. It's like this weird hybrid of like some kind of Borg cube mixed with that ball with like, I don't know. Just it's very space age and cool looking, and I kind of want one just to have one, but I have no use for it.
Our Shane, our resident documentarian in the DTNS audience, says, yes, it's like using DSLR for video. Super awkward kludgy.
Yeah, but people make some cool stuff with DSLR video. Like that's what I'm saying is it's a place to get started or to do some cool stuff at the ground level, grassroots level, which, let's admit it, the world's full of that now, so why not have a tool for it?
You can have 360-degree grassroots video.
There you go.
Okay. I think the thing that blew me away when we were talking about it this morning on the morning stream was you showing that video where they were carrying it. Like I look at it and I'm like, well, that's going to have to be stationary. But no, they had it on a selfie stick kind of thing, and they were skiing down a hill with it. So yeah, you could use it for more than I would have thought. Well, folks, the rumors were true. Disney announced Tuesday that it has made a $1 billion investment in BAM Tech. That's spelled BAM, all caps. This is the company that used to be Major League Baseball Advanced Media. It, of course, powers streaming services for Major League Baseball, but also HBO Now, WWE, the NHL. The deal also lets Disney acquire a majority stake in BAM if it wishes down the road. BAM has been trying to sell itself off to someone, so Disney's kind of dipping a toe in the water here. As part of this acquisition, or investment, rather, Disney also confirmed that BAM Tech is working on an ESPN-branded sports streaming service to launch sometime before the end of the year. The service would use sports that ESPN has the license to, but does not air on its main channels. So it's not an internet-only version of ESPN. That's called Sling TV or PlayStation View, mind you. This is something where you get the ESPN3 stuff, the stuff that you can get with your ESPN subscription, but it's only online. You'll be able to pay to get just that stuff on its own.
I like that. And also,
do you?
Well, here's why. Okay, I have a very specific biased reason. So some people are aware of this, but I'm now hosting a 3-chaired show for Bleacher Report, a direct competitor of ESPN. But it's all about esports and all about competitive gaming. And ESPN3 is often the place that they'll put that stuff when they're experimenting with it. So my thinking is this could be a boost to that. Who knows? Nobody said anything about that. Nobody's talked about it. But it does give them a chance to have an outlet for competitive gaming in a place where it can get started a little bit more, get a little bit of mainstream attention that isn't necessarily throwing it on ESPN1, but starting a little lower. I just like to throw it out there that that's maybe an option here.
Okay, that makes sense coming at it from that angle. The angle I was coming at was, I'm a sports lover, and I would like to have CFL games because go BC Lions. But I also want ESPN because I watch baseball and basketball. The better thing to do if you don't have cable is to buy Sling TV for $20 a month and get the orange version that gets you ESPN. Because with that, you can log in to watch ESPN where you get ESPN3's content already. But I guess if you only want ESPN3, depending on how this is priced, maybe this makes sense because you only want the college sports and offbeat stuff that isn't picked up by the main channels. But when it is picked up by the main channels, you won't be able to watch it, which is kind of confusing. Like, especially with esports. Like, some of the esports is on ESPN3, but occasionally they have it on the main channel, and then you wouldn't be able to watch it anymore.
Right. That's a good point. I don't know. Like, the way things are going with Disney and Turner and everybody else trying to figure out who's going to dominate the next decade of sports coverage, where it will be, cast, who will have the rights, when can it be shown, and to who, and why, how are you going to log in and see it? That stuff's going to get weirder before it gets saner, if that's a way of saying that, which is barely a way of saying that.
So it is ESPN, direct to consumer, but not the ESPN you were thinking of.
Right.
It's not all of ESPN.
It's Senor Spielbergo, not Steven Spielberg. Okay?
The Ocho will be available.
Okay, good. CNET, in a final bit of news here, reports a group called Help Refugees, which is providing free Wi-Fi to a refugee camp in Calais, France. Calais. Is it Calais? You never pronounce the S, do you?
Nope.
The group cycles through SIM cards to avoid data limits to allow the camp to use around 50 gig per day. It's pretty good. Camp inhabitants use phones to connect to the Wi-Fi and use WhatsApp, Viper, or Viber rather, and the like.
It's Viber.
Is it Viber? I said, what did I say? Viper? Viper.
You said Viber. You corrected yourself. You said it right, and then you corrected yourself to Viber.
I'm also here to announce a new social media thing I'm making called... Anyway, I guess this is a great way to keep in touch with friends, relatives, use language translation apps, that sort of stuff. One use is to keep in touch with people crossing the Mediterranean and call the Coast Guard if for some reason they lose contact, which is interesting. The full story by Stephen Shanklin details how more about phones and service outside the camp goes in much more depth. So it's really totally worth the read. It's a really good CNET article. I feel close to this in a way. My sister's helping with some stuff in Sweden where they're organizing camps and services within those camps, both medical and mental health services, as well as common stuff like this, like how do we get this person on Skype with somebody back home, make sure everyone's okay, that sort of thing. And they're struggling with that, quite honestly. That infrastructure is hard. So anything, anything that can happen out there to increase connectivity will only help what is otherwise a pretty gnarly crisis.
Yeah, I think the thing that caught my attention, first of all, Stephen Shanklin, I worked with at CNET. I have huge respect for it. He did a great job in this story, bringing to light a lot of things about these refugee camps, but particularly the fact that we think of the internet sometimes still as a perk. As a luxury, as something like, well, food and water first. And absolutely food and water first. But what this article shows to me is the internet has now worked its way into our society so much that it becomes extraordinarily useful and people are extraordinarily dependent on it for communication, because you would have to spend a lot of money to run phone lines. They don't have electricity in this camp, but they have internet. Right? I mean, they're able to bring in batteries and do some charging. And there's a whole part of this article where he talks about the economics of getting your phone charged. But you can use a small cell phone. It's not cheap to get a hold of one. You're talking about 200 euros or so. But if you have one or you can get a hold of one, then you can take advantage of this free Wi-Fi being provided. And you can use WhatsApp to communicate with your friends back home or around the world. And especially that part you talked about where they will use WhatsApp usually, at least that's the story he told, to communicate with people on boats coming across the Mediterranean and just keep checking in regularly to make sure they're okay, because it's such a dangerous journey. And if they stop connecting, then they can contact the Coast Guard and say, hey, we've lost touch. And a lot of times there'll be several people who know several people on the boat. So if one person loses contact but the other person still has contact, they can keep that going. But if everybody loses contact, then there's trouble. So it's a fascinating use of the internet that shows that it has become right down there with electricity. In fact, maybe even more important than electricity, other than the fact that you can't have your internet without some sort of electricity.
Yeah, good point. You said earlier, I don't know, I can't get this part of it out of my head. It's like food and water always first, and I agree with you. But I would much rather be heading to a camp that had internet access, because I feel like that camp would be more coordinated and able to get food and water because they're more connected. Does that make sense, what I'm trying to say? Like, I feel like the internet, while it isn't crucial for human life, it may actually be when you're talking about large groups of people.
It can be crucial to making sure you get the things you need for human life.
Right, exactly. And I think that's huge and hard to deny.
Well, thanks to all those who participate in our subreddit, who submit the stories, who vote on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. It absolutely helps us put the show together each and every day. I always like to look in there and see who's been active this morning. AU Tiger Fan was, another Jay Win, Steel Win 340, MacWin UXIT, DeFrent, T-Glass 1976 back in there, Motang, Slemesme, SGH27, and more. Get in there and vote and submit at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. And that is a look at the top stories. All right, let's talk a little bit about this Google Daydream Labs post. Google Daydream Labs exploring ways to discourage trolling in virtual reality. The problem being, in virtual reality, you can get up somebody's face. You can virtually poke them in the chest. Now, obviously, it's not going to hurt them because we don't have haptic feedback for virtual reality yet, but it is more intimidating than just words. So they're trying to figure out how you best design games to limit that kind of interference and having a good time. There's a VR poker demo in the HTC Vive that they showed off. First of all, they don't really say in the blog post that this is an adjustment, Scott, but they replaced the avatars with dogs. And suddenly it's dogs playing poker, which really lessens the intensity of it.
Well, it has like two benefits. One, dogs playing poker. And two, it changes your perception of who you're playing with, and I think that's what they're experimenting against here. I love that they're doing this on the whole, but to be more specific even about the poker example, what you're really doing here is preemptive moderating. You're coming up with ways in a new medium to stop the jerks before they start. And they're going to come. It's just the way it is. If I play an online game, I'm going to get some salty people saying salty things to me. If I'm on a stream, a YouTube stream or something, I'm watching it live and it's a big full chat room, we're going to see some possibly racist, possibly threatening, awful things being said in that chat. This is the way of things, and because everyone can have a voice, you have people who just want to watch the world burn a little bit, so they'll come and do it. It's the same is going to be true in interactive VR experiences and environments where we're all hanging out together. So when I sit in a virtual movie theater to watch an independent film in what looks like a giant room full of chairs and I'm sitting next to somebody, the last thing I need is for this person to be able to put polygonal objects in front of my face and wave them and not stop. Being able to do anything to me that hinders my ability to enjoy the experience. So rather than just say, well, we'll put ban buttons in there or we'll put ignore buttons in there, which in a lot of cases already in some multiplayer VR games is an option, of course, in a lot of other video games. But muting isn't always the answer. Sometimes the answer might be a little bit more nuanced. And the fact that they're looking for this ahead of time is very progressive in this new medium. I don't know if anybody else is doing this. There probably are people. There are probably think tanks somewhere all thinking about how do we do this. But hearing about this just makes me really happy and glad because they're going to learn things from this that go far beyond, well, we're just trying to stop trolling. They're going to learn things that might be applicable to other mediums. How do we stop chat room abuse? How do we get better at having less angry weirdo people on Xbox Live, or how do we encourage them?
Yeah, let me before we get into the wider range here, let me give an example of the design. It's not, because so far we've only told people they change your face into a dog, and that probably doesn't seem very effective. So better examples are if you're playing poker and you lose and you get up in the game and you want to walk over and punch the other person in the face, right? Virtually, because you're like, I'm not really punching them in the face, but I'm really mad. You know, I'm table flip mad and I want to go and get in their face about it. It will turn the screen black and white. So suddenly it's jarring visually. You will disappear from the other person. So whatever you're thinking you want to do to intimidate them, they will not see. And then a bluish bubble will show up over your chair, kind of saying, you know, why don't you get back over there? That's where you belong in the game. And they found that it really does change things. It really does have a difference. Also, if you try to punch or shove, it can detect that most of the time, and it won't register that. You won't even see it yourself. It'll just be like, yeah, we're not going to play that game. So these are all an example of them saying, as they say in the blog post, if we can anticipate the actions of others, then we may be able to discourage negative social behavior before it starts. They also do some positive stuff. So when you high five in the game, it'll throw off some sparks and make a slapping sound. And then that makes people feel like, oh yeah, I want to do positive things like high five and congratulate people. They find that encourages that kind of behavior as well. Thing is, Scott, no matter what you do, there will be someone who figures out how to make a mechanic of any game mean something different. And I'm thinking particularly in Hearthstone, where they put sorry in, and it just over time became a trolly way to kind of wave it in somebody's face. Like the human capability of communicating menace is without parallel. So even if you get rid of some of these things, can we ever get rid of all trolling? And should we? Like, isn't it sort of like, well, you know, sometimes a certain amount of that is part of the game. I'm not saying that there aren't huge problems with harassment online, right? I'm not trying to minimize that.
Sure.
But at what point, I mean, we can't eliminate all of it, can we?
No, I don't think so, any more than you can in real life. There's, you know, somebody runs over my foot with their car in a parking lot. I have two choices. I can scream at them, and it may have been a mistake, and I know it's a mistake, but I can scream at them, say terrible things, and kick their car and scare them from wanting to even get out of their car. Or I can say, oh, it's okay, it's not a problem. It doesn't really hurt your foot anyway. It's just embarrassing. No worries. I wouldn't have seen me either. So it's like real life. You know, if you're playing that poker game, I have an idea. Here's your idea. So you can steal this, Google anybody who wants it. If I just lost a hand that I was sure I was going to win, and I'm filled with normal, natural reaction human behavior, where in the Old West I would have shot the place up, but here I can't do anything about it. How about let me get up, flip the table over, cards go everywhere, chips go everywhere, but there's still a ghost version of the table and all that was set there before, or even a chess game, this works with anything, that's still there. Let me get out my virtual anger, let the physics take over and have a big display of this, have the other person even be able to see it, but when I'm done and I sit back down, or things calm down, or someone hits the reset button or the timer goes off, we're back to the normal table, we're back to the game we were at, it's out of my system, and we move on. Like, what I like about this is there's an opportunity for them to play with all those kinds of scenarios, and I'm guessing they're having a blast doing it. Like, putting disembodied dog heads over there to see if that's any different than people heads is kind of awesome, and these guys must be having the time of their life. So I'm all about them exploring as many possibilities as they can, and knowing, hopefully, that you can't anticipate everything, or we're going to end up with, I texted you earlier and said this reminds me of Minority Report a little bit, that quote that you used. Anticipating the actions of others is scary depending on where you're hearing that context. But in this case, since you can't anticipate it all, do the best you can. Let's see what people do with it. And because we live in a fluid medium, change it, patch it, fix it, tweak it. Like, unlike the car situation that ran over my foot, we can change the circumstances in these virtual environments so that things don't happen on the regular. And I think that's just fascinating. What they learned from this will apply to so many other things and make us just think in ways that we haven't. So it's one of the reasons I think VR is so exciting. It's really not about the games for me. It's about seeing these kinds of problems from angles, both literal and figurative, that we've never had before.
Well, and I love that idea of acknowledging that if you thwart a person's natural angry response, their natural outlet, they'll probably just find another way to express that, and that isn't what you want. I love your idea of saying, hey, people do get mad. when the game goes against them, right? Let's give them a way to healthily get that out of their system. Maybe it's not the table flip, maybe it's something else. I like your idea though, that says, hey, just to have a chance to do that and get it over with. And then if that's all you need and you can go back to being a good sport, then mission accomplished. Now, there is a line, and that's why I said I'm not saying harassment isn't a problem. I'm not saying they shouldn't be setting a line, because there is a line over which it's like, no, this isn't acceptable and you shouldn't be allowed to do this. But this idea of designing the game so that you really encourage the best out of every player, and what you're adding is, and giving them an outlet to prevent themselves from getting angrier or more frustrated than they should be, I think is it's not exclusive to VR, but it's something that VR can allow more than other types of programming. Partly because Stoic Squirrel in the chat room was like, shouldn't we be fixing social networking harassment first? And I said back to him, I'm like, it's not an either or. You can work on both. And we have a chance to get in and design something to reduce it from the beginning, something we didn't do with social networks.
Yeah, to me, it's like, and this isn't to throw dirt on the chat room question, because that's actually a pretty decent question, but it's like that old question of, why are we doing anything with NASA when we have problems right here on Earth? And people forget about all the many things that come out of space exploration and that kind of development that do affect our everyday lives. So it's there. It's a cheap way to do it. We're not talking about some crazy investment here. It's also an investment Google's willing to make. It's not your tax dollars at work here. So I say, why not? Like, they're going to learn things that we wouldn't have thought about. And I've already, just playing and messing around in VR, had epiphanies of social interaction that I never thought I would have. They're like, oh, that changes everything. And it becomes not as simple as just a mute button, the way it can be in a shooter or something. So when I get into a competitive Overwatch game and I just hit mute chat and then I play, that's not actually helping the problem. It's solving a problem for me, but I'm not really helping the overall problem. Right. So I just think this helps us be better citizens, trying to figure out ways to make us be better people. And I don't mean make other people behave the way we want to. That's not what I'm saying. But have a situation where, people can maybe do the right thing, maybe be a little bit encouraged, and if they still don't, well, what are you going to do? You gave them all the chances you could. I don't think that's a bad thing to aim for. Yeah,
and hitting the mute button in Overwatch isn't a bad thing either. You're just saying, like, that practice as a design does not encourage better behavior. It's not wrong to take advantage of, but maybe we can design something that will do more.
It's not even punitive to the other team. They don't even know I've done it.
Right.
I like muting people on Twitter. They can keep railing on you. They don't know you've muted them. So they're really not learning anything. Like, sometimes I think a block is better, because then there's I've gone too far or whatever. But then you might say, well, then that's just, you're shutting other voices out of your life. So I realize it's a nuanced, multi-layered conversation, from everything to, social networks all the way up through undiscovered VR territory. But I don't see how this kind of research, and I think it is literally research, hurts any of that. I think it's a good thing.
All right, let's get to the pick of the day, which is another good thing, from Corey, who picks nerdfitness.com, a site built for nerds looking to get in shape. The Academy is behind a one-time fee paywall, but it's got articles that feel like they're written for me, says Corey. The geek that has never once wanted to work out. Has videos of workouts focused on strength training, nutrition articles, and things to help get into the mindset of getting fit. Now, if you're already falling asleep, nerd, wake back up, because all of that boring stuff you just heard that you should do but don't want to is wrapped into RPG gamification with quests and experience points. Corey says, I was surprised at how important the mindset quests are, since they really did help me figure out how to want to get fit and why I wanted to get there.
Yeah, it's cool. This was actually recommended to us on the morning stream by Bill Duran some months ago, when he was coming on our show doing fitness advice. That's since changed to talk more about what he's making in the maker world. But at the time, this was something he recommended and seemed really hot on. I haven't been here in a while, and they've really expanded things. This is great.
Yeah, check it out.
Look, if you gamify my world, I'm much more interested now than I was before you told me that.
Send your picks to us, folks. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com, and we have more picks at dailytechnewsshow.com/picks. Coming up this Sunday, Peter Wells will have his Australian view on technology, and here's what he has coming up.
G'day Tom, Pete here with a quick preview of Sunday's show. We have a fantastic show for you planned this Sunday. The discussion topic will be the story of Australia's first ever online census and the cluster it has become. It is the story of how a former beloved national institution became the butt of jokes and lost all trust among the tech press. The story of massive privacy concerns that were never really addressed by a gung-ho people in charge, and the story of incredible incompetence, compounding errors, and just so much fun. Sadly, we're no closer to finding out just how many Jedi there are in Australia. In 2011, there were 65,000. But yes, hopefully sometime by the end of the week, we will know what has happened with the census. Speak to you then. See ya.
Thanks, Pete. I love it. Check it out. Day 6. It'll be in your feed on Sunday or on Monday if you're in Australia. Derek Chen, who is in the advertising business and in the audience, chimed in on Facebook's ads that we talked about yesterday. His full email is in the show notes if you're interested. Here's a summary, though, of his analysis. He points out that Facebook ads are native to the platform. They try to keep them less obtrusive already. So Facebook isn't the greatest offender here. It's a little easier for them to deal with the problem. Most of Facebook's ad revenue comes from mobile, so it's hit less by desktop ad blockers. In Derek's words, this almost feels like a PR announcement to calm advertisers. The control over the ads Facebook is adding could increase engagement, so it could be a win-win for everybody. It lets users select the types of ads they would like to see. He cautions that even if Procter & Gamble is going broad, that doesn't mean everybody's going broad. He says ROI-based advertising heavily relies on partners such as Facebook and Google for their ability to find that needle, that needle in a haystack that they want to reach. And he finishes with, I think Facebook needed to address industry concerns about ad blocking, but I'm curious on how much they really were affected.
Yeah, I'm all about Facebook talking about it, and I haven't kept heavily abreast of this whole thing with Facebook and ad blocking, but I'm a big fan of transparency as this stuff goes on, and why we're being advertised to, and when, and how they find us, and how did they target us, and why are they not showing us this now, and how are blockers playing into that future. I think that stuff's really important. So at the very least, this confirms that feeling for me, and I'm glad that people are talking about it.
And Dwayne in Germany calls out to the rest of the Windows Phone fans out there who are seeing their Windows phones dwindle away into the distance. Says, I just bought an Android phone as my second phone after years of only using the Windows Phone platform, and the SD card use is something I just can't seem to figure out. It's almost useless on Android. On Windows Mobile 8.1 and 10, it was super simple to send your apps, music, photos, and maps to the SD card by just using the File Explorer or making the SD card the default storage for different types of downloads in the settings. Speaking of maps, Google Maps is #1 in traffic updates. They do that well, but to me, Here Maps kills it in everything else. The features mentioned in the show yesterday, I've been using for about 2 years on Here on my Windows Mobile device. And then he asked if there was an easy way to move the apps to the SD card. I sent him some links there, but he was having a hard time adjusting to the Android world.
Well, don't worry. There's, for you and all the other Windows Phone users, there's at least 10 chairs available at Denny's. You guys can get together, have your annual meeting. It'll be fine.
Scott says that because one time we went to Denny's and sat and complained about.
That's all I could think of, and that's what I thought of because I saw your face and I went, "Oh yeah, Denny's."
Totally. Well, thank you, Scott Johnson, for joining us. What you got going on to tell folks about?
Oh, a billion things. The show I mentioned earlier, the Rally Point show, which is now at rallypoint.gg. See what they did there with the GG. Good games, pretty good. Anyway, that'll take you straight to our new esports/competitive gaming show, where we talk about everything from shooters down to collectible card games and everything in between. There's a ton of competition happening right now, so we are in full coverage overload. Got some great guests lined up, all kinds of cool stuff, so do check that out. That's at rallypoint.gg, and for everything else I have going on, you can find me at Scott Johnson on Twitter.
Thank you to the folks who make this show possible, our patrons at patreon.com/DTNS, our one-time contributors through PayPal, and our people who shop in the shop. Some of you are all three of those. You guys are the best. You can find out all about that at dailytechnewsshow.com/support. Reminder, if you just need the headlines of the day in less than 10 minutes, subscribe to Daily Tech Headlines at dailytechheadlines.com. Rich Straffolino has been filling in for me for a couple of days in anticipation of filling in for me when I'm gone at the end of August, and been doing a great job. So check that out, dailytechnewsshow.com/subscribe or dailytechheadlines.com. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. You can catch the show live Monday through Friday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern at alphageekradio.com and diamondclub.tv, and visit our website, dailytechnewsshow.com. Back tomorrow with Justin Robert Young. Talk to you then.
part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
All right, let's pick a title for this show, and then we can get back to talking about toilets on the Shinkansen.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Hey, it worked.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I tried a bunch of things, and sometimes it works once, it doesn't work the other time. I blame Google Hangouts. Wi-Fi to the jungle, and then there's a virtual...
By the way, if anyone doesn't get that, because we never use the word jungle, the jungle is the term for the Calais camp.
Right.
That's a common way that the people in the camp are.
Calais? I always call it Calais.
It might be Calais.
I just base it on the way BBC, so... I mean, they say Mario instead of Mario, so...
Just put an S at the end and you'll be like me. It's fine.
Kaloo, Calais.
Sounds like a chant. Virtue troll, like a virtual troll, virtue troll. Virtual trolls. The virtual reality of the trolls. There's one with a bunch of emoji in it that I'm not sure. Like don't.
Virtual table flip.
Okay.
That's
Okay, that's a table. I wasn't sure what that was.
Yeah, it's a little person flipping a table.
Like I got the person, but I thought he was doing like 2 middle fingers.
Well, he might be doing that in addition to flipping the table, actually.
MacBook Pro announcement. Seagate, you'll now lose 60 terabytes when it fails.
Nah. Oh, burn. Sick burn to Seagate.
Sick burn.
Barry Allen not allowed. For
No
people
Flash.
who don't know, Barry Allen is a secret identity Flash.
Thank you, Doc. Who did that? Dr. Illidan? You made my day. That was really good. I don't think we'll be able to use it, but it's really good.
Wait, which one was that one?
Barry Allen not allowed.
Oh. Let me see. Homos were the AP roams, Chrome flashbacks. Don't be a virtue dick. Virtue troll. Wi-Fi to the jungle. Virtual trolls. I don't know. I mean, I do like the table flip one now that I understand it, but it took me a minute until you explained it. I just saw a man flipping someone off.
I just kind of want to try putting the table flip emoticons into...
Sure. See what happens.
And see what happens, yeah.
Warning, meltdown.
Does not compute. I was not programmed to flip tables.
Why did you program me with feelings? Why? That's the best line for the Sims, like where they do the robot things, is the best line they do. Where the robot's running outside of the thing. Why did you program me with feelings? Why?
Hey, Shane points out BioCow has been keeping the Vimeo channel that Shane created alive. Vimeo.com/channels/DTNS.
Oh, very nice.
Awesome.
Thank you, BioCow, and thank you, Shane, for setting that up. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. We were trying to figure out something because there were issues with my account because I am not a pro member.
Oh, that's what it was?
I think. I don't know. Shane can educate me. Yeah, pro announcement. So I guess we see what happens. Although Barry Allen not allowed made it to the top at 8.
It did?
Yeah, but we can't. That one's. I mean, first of all, the Flash story isn't even that big of a story in today's show, and then so many people won't get it.
Wi-Fi to the jungle.
If it was the main topic, I wouldn't care that people wouldn't get it. I'd be like, yeah, why not? It's just the one that made me smile the most. By the way, those vids at Vimeo are downloadable if you're looking for one-off downloads.
Ooh. Open source.
Oh. Well, I don't think it's open source, but
Disney takes her to the ball.
fewer barriers. Barry Alleners. Virtual table flip it is. I'm putting it in right now.
All right. Seems all right to me.
It's all right. It's all right. I'm going to go get some coffee with Lamar Wilson here in a little bit.
Lovely.
Lamar Wilson.
I like Lamar.
The
Oh, I
very
gotta
same.
get meds for my kid. Gotta get meds for my kid.
She's a junkie, huh?
Not yet. Hopefully not.
Never know, man.
That's an expensive habit. It's an expensive habit to break. It's like thumb sucking. I didn't stop sucking my thumb until the third grade.
My kids would not even do pacifiers. Like they just hated it having like some object in their mouth. They would just spit it
Scott,
out.
I've said it before. Your kids don't suck.
It was true. So when they would but it was kind of a downer because my friends would all have babies that they just shut up with a pacifier. And mine were like, no, not having it. So if they were upset, they were upset.
They just stayed upset. Huh?
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer.
Like, I want electronics.
Yeah,
I want a smartphone. I don't know what that is.
I don't know what
It hasn't
that
been
is.
invented yet.
We're a few years away from whatever you're talking about.
Yeah, I have to play a music video.
Oh, it's 10 Speed and Brown Shit. Sorry, I found the theme.
Oh yeah, I know that theme.
Back when every theme was just basically, what can we do with this orchestra we pay for?
Yep. And it was
They don't
all,
really-
it was all Mike Post. He did
Yep.
pretty much all of them.
Well, just call Mike Post,
Oh, I want a documentary on Mike Post.
like a
I want it.
Ken Burns documentary.
Yeah, I'd love that.
They'd be great. Actually, they should do an expanded one on the theme songs for all those shows on TV because Alan Thicke was an author of quite a number of them, including Facts of Life.
Oh yeah, big time. He wrote a lot of that music. That's why it's
Yeah, I mean, he was inconsistent though with his theme songs. You take the good, you take the bad.
But take the good, you take the bad, mix you both, and there you have.
you,
the Facts
you
of
just
Life.
said it was. You said very off the side, Tom. You said it should be like a Ken Burns documentary, and it didn't hit me exactly what that would be like until I thought about it, and it would be things like, "Mother, I write you today from the benches of working on Hill Street Blues."
Hill Street Blues, as Hill Street Blues and St. Elsewhere were the two ones that really were seared in my mind after MASH.
Big
Like MASH was the big one, but
Yeah.
those are the
He
other
didn't
two.
do MASH, did he?
Oh.
No, he didn't know, but
Oh,
TV
but you're saying
theme
of
songs,
like iconic themes. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
da-na-na-na-na-na, that's like MASH.
Yeah.
It's always I never liked that
Through
show because the
early
music was so
morning
depressing.
fog
at
I
the beginning.
see.
He did.
visions of the
He's still
things to
around.
be.
He's 71, still making stuff.
He should. My dad's my dad's 80. He still works every day. If my dad can work, so can a 71-year-old.
that suicide
youngster.
is painless.
Hey, Rockford Files, one of my favorites here.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so good.
You know, the only reason I watched that show is because he drove a Firebird.
That's
Yeah.
the only reason.
That's the only reason I initially
Just
watched the
wanted to
show
see
as
the
a
car?
kid. Was
That's
the
funny.
car? Like I
Yeah,
was a
totally.
kid, so
that's
it's,
such a good kid thing. Yeah.
yeah, it's like I watched the Dukes of Hazzard. I could care less about Bo.
Uh-huh.
I just liked the car.
I,
And then I realized
$6
what the
Million
flag
Man
meant
was
on
my
the
favorite show because I liked watching Steve Austin jump
Yeah.
and hearing the.
Remember when you kept doing that for me? Like you reach for a box of cereal and you would go, da-da-da-da-da. It's like,
Yeah. Plus, he had that eye thing. That was cool.
yeah, it's like wow, you have your own crosshair. That's
And
pretty
I had
awesome.
the Steve Austin doll that had the roll-up skin.
I still say
Oh
his
no, I had
series
the
is
one with the
years
actual
ago.
kung fu grip or the action.
Yeah,
not
he
the
had,
kung
he had
fu.
Kung Fu grip, roll-up skin where you could pull out his little bionic components.
He had an orange jumpsuit, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Look through his
I remember
eye.
it as more red, but it probably was orange.
Oh,
You could see through his head. You could look through the back of his head, and it was like a little. You could see it magnification. Like
You
it
know,
was-
I had the 12-inch Boba Fett, and you could see through his head too, because that's like his little thing would come down.
Oh.
Oh, man, that thing was such an awesome toy. It's worth like $300-$400 mint. It's like I totally played the heck out of it.
I didn't want it. I remember my parents asking me if I wanted the Boba Fett. I was like, no, I want the ones that go with all the others. What am I going to do with that? It's too big.
Oh, I wanted that one because it was fully articulated.
I know.
That's
I
the
was
thing
such an
about
idiot.
Kenner did not articulate the elbows or knees, or the torso, which is what was it Hasbro did with G.I. Joe, and then later on they used the same molds for the A-Team action figures. But you could totally articulate them so they could break dance and stuff. You can't do that with Star Wars. They're just like. Shh, shh, shh.
Yeah.
Are you
Not
in the
many
chat
forms
room,
of
Scott?
Articulation. Am I in there? No, not currently.
Okay.
Why is someone saying something?
Shane was wanting to ask you about something.
Oh, tell Shane to tweet me, and then I'll do a DM with him, and we can chat.
So yeah, Shane, if you could just tweet Scott, then he'll Snapchat you, and if you could get back to that through WhatsApp, then he'll send you a Viber message with his Telegram credentials that will lead to his Signal protocol, and then you guys can figure it out.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
That's exactly what I want.
Here's my P.O. box. Just mail me there.
I actually did that with somebody. I can't remember who, where they asked me something and I responded to them in a different place. And so they responded to me in a different social network, a different communication platform, and then we just kept it going for a while.
Nice. I kind of like the idea of doing that.
Shane says he'll use his shortwave numbers broadcast.
Oh, okay, good. Ham radio is what I'm looking for.
Yeah. So the table flip characters did not translate into the MP3 URL. If you're wondering the status on what this is likely to do to our feed. So it won't be causing any problems there.
Well, that's good. No problems are the best problems.
Mo money is the best problems.
Mo money, mo money, mo money. In Living Color, such a hit and miss show. But it launched the careers of the other weigh-ins and what's Jim Carrey.
Yep. And Jennifer Lopez.
Carried it all right from there.
Fly girl Jennifer Lopez.
Oh, that's right.
And some of the Wayans brothers did okay.
Yeah, the older ones did because they did "I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker."
Yeah.
I love that movie. So awesome.
Damon Wayans was big for a while, not really doing anything now.
Shoot. The DTNS blog
Does not accept that.
makes it rap. So you see all but one arm of the guy, and then it goes to the next line for the table flip. It's too bad.
Man. The bummer.
But what about the YouTube video?
I'm gonna try to. I was wondering what a theme song for DTNS would be. That is just like a Would it be like that? Would it be kind of like what is that? Is that a guitar? I guess that they use.
Wait, you want to know what a theme song for DTNS would be? Is that what you said?
No. Like if we did like a full-on TV.
Wouldn't it be that? It's kind of work for TV.
Trying to find the Mike Post playlist.
You want a Mike? I know what you want. You want a Mike Post version.
I want one where it's like the Fall Guy, except you would have to sing the song instead of Lee Majors.
Yeah, I like that. I got blown up for Raquel Welch. Something. I got.
Now you know why I don't have a career selling albums because I can't sing.
Oh, here we go. I found a playlist. So that's Hill Street. Right? Is that Hill Street?
Yeah, that's Hill Street Blues.
Okay, how about this one? Oh, this is Rockford Files. James Garner in. There's always a telephone call first.
This is Jim Rockford.
There you go.
Ooh, he has an answering machine. He's so fancy.
Oh, Quantum Leap was his? I didn't know that.
Oh, wow.
Quantum Leap, Hill Street Blues, Fall Guy, Airwolf.
Oh, Airwolf. That's a pretty cutting edge one.
A-Team, WKRP in Cincinnati was his. Starsky and Hutch, Greatest American Hero, Hawaii Five-0.
Wait, I thought the Greatest American Hero was he wrote the song and played because I know that actually became like a top 40s like Billboard thing for a while.
Believe it or not, that one.
Yeah, George is not home. The one from the Seinfeld. He makes his.
I love that episode. He's sitting there eating popcorn, listening to it.
George is not home.
Not at home.
Where could he be? Believe it or not.
He's not home.
It was so good. He did Barney Miller, Magnum P.I., Law and Order, all of them.
Wait a minute. What is Law and Order like? Dun dun. Wait.
Yep. Boom, boom. Let's see. Welcome back, Cotter. Jeez.
Wait, he did Mr. Belvedere or no?
No. He's not in here. He wrote the Jeffersons theme song. Moving on up.
To the east side, to the deluxe apartment.
I had a guy, I said this on Twitter, but I had a guy email me all upset about some, I don't know what it was, some political thing we said. There's always somebody, and he was freaking out, and he gave me a quote by who he referred to as founding father George Jefferson. And I think what he did was conflated George Washington with Thomas Jefferson, but said George Jefferson, and I couldn't take him serious then. Possible.
And the original First Lady, Wheezy.
Wheezy, yeah.
I still find it ironic that in that show, the wife had the deep baritone voice and the husband had the high-pitched.
Setting stereotypes on their head.
They were flipping the script, man.
I know. He was a short.
Table flipping the script.
Yep.
And Florence was no, was it Florence? Who was the maid?
Oh,
the one that ended up on 227.
Yeah, and she had a spinoff from this. Crap. I just heard a thing about her on the '70s documentary that's on Netflix. Talks to her, and they talk about Archie Bunker and Jeffersons and all that.
Oh yeah, Jeffersons was a spinoff from Archie Bunker.
Yeah, like there's a weird lineage there. If you look at it, there's like 10 spinoffs, 5 of which none of us ever saw because they didn't make.
Yeah, they just died in the vine.
I remember the.
Is there a connection with Rhoda and no,
it was Rhoda
Alice?
and
or is that doesn't tie into Archie Bunker though?
Rhoda came off of something else.
No, it came off. What was the show that the Mary Tyler Moore
show, right?
Gave rise to all
that was Rhoda, but then Maude came out of somewhere.
Yeah, Maude came out of Mary Tyler Moore too. Yeah.
Was that also Mary Tyler?
Maude and Rhoda and.
What's the one with whatever
Alice?
his name?
Did Alice come from there?
Oh,
No.
Alice, but
Alice came from the movie.
Yeah, no, Alice came. Well, yeah, but Alice came from Alice, but Flo came from Alice. Remember Flo?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Kiss My Grit.
Flo was like the end of that line.
Yeah, and they had a spinoff, and it was terrible.
Flo was the aftermash of Alice.
Did you guys ever see Enos, the spinoff from?
Yes, I forgot about Enos.
Spinoff from what was it? What show did it spin off from?
From
the Dukes of Hazzard.
Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh yeah, that was really bad. It was less.
And,
it was a season or less.
Joey was the last of those, I think. The spinoff from Friends.
I feel like that's true, except
I don't know that there have been any other of that kind of class of spinoff.
Yeah, no, there was. There was 2 from Three's Company. There was the Ropers.
No. I mean, Joey is the last.
Oh.
Like in terms of time.
I know there are plenty others
like
in the past. I'm saying the most recent version of that kind of spinoff, I think, is Joey.
But couldn't you say that Better Call Saul is that, but just successful?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. No, you're right. It definitely fits the broad definition, doesn't it?
Yeah.
No, then you had Angel, which was a spinoff from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
No, you're right. Wait, did Angel predate Joey though?
No. I think Joey was the last modern era comedy. Maybe we're talking comedy here.
I think Angel came after Joey. I could be wrong about that.
You never remember the successful ones. Like Frasier was successful.
Frasier. Oh, right. Frasier was huge.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Better Call Saul.
But no one remembers the Tortellis from Cheers spinoffs.
Yes, I remember a bit of it, and it was really bad. I said, why did you focus on the one annoying guy in the bar? Like, I thought they would have made a Norm one before him or one on Cliff Clavin. Yeah. And then, what's his name? Ratzenberger did that weird History Channel show where he drives around in an RV.
Yep.
Rediscovering American ingenuity and manufacturing.
Yeah, Angel came in 1999. Thank you.
He just does Disney direct-to-TV movies, and then he does voices in Pixar movies, and that's his whole job now.
You know what? If I can get that job, I'd be happy. Someone wants to use your voice. Awesome. I don't even have to change it. Even better.
Not even that. It's like he's just a token thing now because in Toy Story he was a pig, so he was a full character. But then after that it was just this joke that, hey, Cliff will be in every one of our movies in some small way. So now it's just he's the Underminer, or he's the School of Fish and Nemo, or he's, some small thing. And I love that. And they almost broke that tradition. Like Brad Bird said, they almost didn't do it for The Incredibles. They almost broke ranks with it, and they talked him into it. And so at the very end, they made him the Underminer, and everybody was so glad because now it's like this tradition. You can't not do your movie without him in it, the Pixar. So he's in every single one of those freaking things.
All right. I hate to bring this memory. I really do hate to bring this.
Hey, we close it on Ratzenberger. It's fine.
Yeah.
Well, the fixture.
Thank you, Ratzenberger.
Yeah. In Caprica was a spinoff of Battlestar.
Please tip your waitress. Enjoy the Ratzenberger.
Well, beer.